Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle Ferguson and I'm the crochet pattern designer of Two Brothers Blankets. You can find me at twobrothersblankets.com, on Facebook and Instagram at Two Brothers Blankets, and right here on YouTube every week for a new crochet related video. So today is the second video in my How to Crochet a Sweater series. I'm going to demonstrate how to crochet a sweater from the bottom up. This is not a full pattern tutorial, but more of a demonstration to give you a visual of how it looks to crochet a sweater from the bottom up. I'm going to be doing crocheting and demonstrating my springtime sweater crochet pattern. I will link to the pattern in the description so you can purchase it if you would like. To make the springtime sweater, you will need DK weight yarn and a hook to obtain gauge, and a yarn needle and measuring tape and some scissors. And that's about it. So let's get started and begin the demonstration now. Okay, so I have my bottom part of my springtime sweater crochet pattern that I have worked up in the round. A few things to note about working from the bottom up in the round for a sweater. I love to do a foundation chainless single crochet at the bottom when I start. This is not always the case, but in a lot of patterns you will find that, at least of mine, because it gives it a nice stretch, more of a stretch than the single crochet alone, like chaining and doing a single crochet stitch or any other stitch. That chainless foundation stitch gives it a nice stretch, which is really nice for like at the hips, and makes it easier to just fit nicely around the hips. I've worked in the round. It is important to note when you are working in the round for from the bottom up like this, to turn each round. One, this is going to keep it consistent with your top panels, because you're going to be turning when you get into your top panels, front and back panels, to create those armholes. You're going to be turning each row. You're going to be working in rows rather than round. Also, it keeps your seam nice and straight. I don't know if you can see that here, but it is right here down the middle. Okay, so I have worked my the whole bottom part of the top in the round, and now I am ready to create my panels to split into panels to make the armholes, to create those armholes. So I've been working in the round. You can see the seam right here. It's been in the back. Now it's going to come to the side because we're going to start right there. We're not going to fasten off. And you're going to have your panels front and back right here. So that seam will be along the side now instead. We are now going to work in rows. Like I said, we're not fastening off. We're starting with the back panel, and we're just going to chain one and turn. And for the size I'm doing, which is size medium, we're going to work 70 extended single crochet. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to chain one and turn, and I'm going to do 70 extended single crochet, and what it's going to be is half of the number of stitches of this circumference of the bottom part. So let me do that now. Okay. So I have worked my 70 stitches across here. Hope you can see it all. For my row one of my back panel. I'm not joining anywhere or anything like that. I'm going to actually turn for row two and go back and do those 70 stitches again. And I'm going to repeat that all the way up the number of rows it tells me to do before I fasten off. And that's going to create my back panel. So I'm going to chain one, turn, and work 1, extended single crochet into each stitch across for 70 stitches. So see how I'm creating rows here, which is going to leave, and so when I start my front panel, there's going to be space here, which will create the armhole. So let's do that. Okay, so I have done 2 rows of my back panel. I've worked the 70 stitches from here to here. It's the back half of it's half of the number of stitches that I was working in the round. So now I'm just going to turn and keep doing that for however many rows it calls for the size that I'm doing. And once I get the back panel completed, I'll come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so I have finished my back panel. As you can see, it's just half of the bottom of my garment, the body of my sweater, and I've worked the panel. I think it's 23 rows for a size medium. And so now I'm going to fasten off my yarn. And leave that, just leave it to be. And so now, since I'm left-handed, I'm going to be over on this side. I am going to join my yarn to this next unworked stitch right here to create the front panel. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it says to join yarn to first unwork stitch on body of T facing right side. So since I'm going to be turning, because row 2, even rows are the right side, I am going to join it here on this side, and I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to turn my work. So I'm working on the wrong side, the inside of the garment. I'm going to now do my extended single crochet in the first stitch and in each stitch across to create that front panel. And I'm just kind of working over my stitches my working yarn, my ends for right now. But I'm doing the exact same thing I did for the back panel. I just had to rejoin that yarn here. And as you can see right here, you can already start to see it's going to create this hole right here that we're going to connect at the end when we finish both panels. So I'm going to work this panel. I'll probably show you one more row, and then I will show you how to seam your shoulders at the top. So let me do that right now. Okay, I've done the first row of this front panel here. I am just going to be working in rows just like the back. So I ran out of a ball of yarn, I finished out a ball of yarn, which is why I've got some ends here. But I'm just going to chain 1, turn my work, and do it in rows just like the back panel. It's pretty much the same thing other than you have to rejoin the yarn. I'm going to work my 1 extended single crochet in each stitch across for, I think it's 23 rows for the medium, which is the size I'm doing. For whatever number of rows you're doing for that size, I'm going to work my panels, and then I'll show you how to join at the shoulders. Okay, so I have worked my 2 panels, as you can see here, and I apologize that I cannot get the entire sweater into frame for you, but you can see the panels here. You can see how they are just split right here to create them. So now we have the 2 panels. We have our armhole area, but we need to join at the shoulders. And so this one's a really, really simple join. There's no shaping of the neckline. There's nothing. It's just a simple boat neck style neckline for this sweater that I'm doing, the springtime sweater pattern. So it's really simple. Sometimes you will have some neck shaping, some neckline shaping here, but not always. So I'm going to show you the real simple way, but just keep that in mind. Follow your pattern if you're creating a pattern. or whatnot, or if you're following a pattern. So I did not fasten off. You do not want to fasten off just yet. What you're going to do, let me put my hook in there. You're going to turn it inside out to the wrong side, as we call it in crochet world. All right, so as you can see, I'm in my wrong side because I got all my ends everywhere. The easiest way to join your seams, let me check the pattern real quick, is to slip stitch. I find the easiest. But you can take your yarn needle and just sew if you'd rather. If that's the case, you will fasten off, or you would fasten, leave a long tail, fasten off a long tail, and then sew. But I find it much easier just to slip stitch using my crochet hook. It's quicker, there's no fastening off, anything like that. So the pattern says to do 20 stitches. I am struggling with this loop here. 1 second, let's redo that. To do 20 stitches across, joining the panels together. So I'm a lefty, so I'm gonna have to chain 1 and turn and go this way. But I'm going to take my panels, line them up with their stitches. I'm gonna go into the first panel, my top panel that I have here, and into the next, the bottom panels, or into both. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to pull up a loop and pull through the loop I have. So I'm slip stitching. So insert into the first stitch on the top panel and the next stitch on the bottom panel. Then this is the second stitch. I'm working into the second stitch of the top and the bottom panel, put my hook into both of them, pulling up a loop and then pulling that loop through to slip stitch. So that's 2 stitches. Doing it again for this third stitch, slip stitching, 3, 4, and see it's connecting them together right there. So that's 4, 5. Now, one thing to remember is you may have to adjust this depending on your head size or what size you're making. Usually it will have a count, but not always. Now I've lost my place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's okay to adjust the amount of stitches you do on each side. 8, 9. You may want to pin it, try it on and pin it where you think you'll need it. That's 10. So then you don't have to experiment after, like try it on after and see, and then frog or not frog or whatever. 12, I think that's 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and just make sure your stitches line up. Sometimes they want to move. 18, 19, 20. All right, so I've done my 20 stitches. You may want to give them a little tug. I probably did those a little tight. You don't want them too tight, but just give it a little tug. And then you're going to fasten off. I would, and if you haven't tried it on and figured exactly how many stitches you need, I would probably leave a long tail just so that you can sew it up some more if you need to, or let a few stitches out easily. So I have fastened off. Now I'm going to join on this other side. I'm going to have to join my yarn, but I can still use my crochet hook and slip stitch same as I did on the other side. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first stitch of the front and back panels. I'm going to chain 1, and turn my work because I'm a lefty. And then I'm going to go back into those and slip stitch. And then do that for 20 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, so see, I have a decent size neckline. I think that'll work for me. But if it doesn't, since I haven't tried it on, I will leave a long tail that I can use, not that long, that I can use for sewing or taking out if I need to. All right, so then you just fasten that off as well. And now you're going to flip it back to the right side. And you have this nice seam where you have your shoulders all seamed together. Super simple. Looks fine. If you don't, like, it does dent in a little, which I think will block out too. If you don't like that, you can just sew. Totally up to you. I don't really mind it. And then you've got your head, your space for your head, your neckline. So that is how you seam the shoulders. Next up, we are going to do the sleeves. Okay, so for the sleeves, for the most part, I always just join my yarn and work in the round and create rounds to do the sleeve instead of sewing it on or anything like that for this type of workup, the bottom up workup. So for this springtime sweater is no different. We're just going to join our yarn and work in the round along that armhole to create our sleeves. So the pattern says to join yarn to the armpit area of your armhole facing the right side. I always struggle with how to word this when I'm writing my patterns, but I find the best place to join your yarn is here at the bottom near where your armpit would be, because if you do have any sort of seam whatsoever, it's going to be on the bottom part of your arm. So see, like this shirt that I'm wearing right now has a seam right here at the bottom. So when I am facing, my hand is facing up, you don't see it. It's the same concept. So what we're going to do, so we're going to join the yarn to the bottom armhole. You can join wherever. I like to join like right here at the joining area, but like if you wanted to find an exact stitch, which you're not going to find in this one because we're working along the side, but just an open area that your hook will easily go into is fine. And you join your yarn same as you would always. And then it says to chain one. It says facing the right side. So we are still facing the outside of the sweater, the right side, as we call it. And we are going to turn for this one to keep it consistent, looking with the rest of it since we turned for the body of it as well. So it says for my size, which is medium that I'm doing, it says to extended single crochet evenly around the armhole for 46 stitches. So I am going to chain one and then I'm going to work my extended single crochet evenly around. I'm just going to do my best to get it even, and I want to have 46 stitches. ideally. And so I'm kind of going off the rows because there's 23 rows per panel. So that's double the panel. I do sometimes find struggle with getting a nice even stitch right here at the top at the seam and at the bottom where it is split. If you are having the same issue, I recommend doing a decrease stitch of whatever stitch you're doing. So for me, it would be extended single crochet 2 together for this pattern. It gives you the space you need, but also makes it look just like one stitch so that it covers the space you need, so you don't get a gap or anything like that. So let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So let me get up there and I'll show you what I mean. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so I'm on stitch number 23, which is my last row of this panel. I'm going to do a decrease into the top of this other panel. So an extended single crochet 2 together right here. So that's my 23, and then work my way down, back down, and then I'll probably do the exact same thing down here in the where we split to even it out. So 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 5, 6, 37, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Okay, I'm at my last stitch. I'm going to do another decrease into here, just so there's not so much of a gap, and that is stitch 46. So then I'm going to join my yarn with a slip stitch, or join to the first stitch with a slip stitch, and I have created the first round of my sleeve. This is a great spot to stop and try it on. Make sure you have enough room in your armhole. Make sure your neckline fits. Just a good spot. If you need more room, if you feel like it's a little bit tight up at the top of your arm, you could go up a hook size or 2 to loosen up those stitches at the top, and then go back down to the stitch, the hook you were using, so that, or as you get closer to your elbow. All right, so we're going to now chain 1 and turn and work 1 extended single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to repeat round 2. This one's super simple instructions. We're going to repeat round 2 until we get to our desired length, which for the pattern is below the elbow. You could go all the way if you wanted. You could stop it at short sleeve, but I'm going to make it a 3/4 sleeve sweater. So just like it calls for. So I chained 1, I turned, I did 1 extended single crochet in the first stitch, and I'm going to do 1 extended single crochet in each stitch around, and I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm going to join, chain 1, turn, and do it again. So you're turning each round. By repeating round 2, you are turning each round. It says to chain 1 and turn. And you're going to just do that for as long as you need, as long as you desire. Like I said, if you want a 3/4 sleeve, it's right below the elbow. And then you are, I believe you just fasten off. Let me check. Oh, there is a sleeve trim. So you would do, just like you did at the bottom of this one, you would do the sleeve trim, which is just a plain single crochet. It's a couple rounds of plain single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back at the end when I have everything finished and show you what it looks like.